Okay, so today's video I'm going to focus on walking. I'm tying together a few different things. So November I've been focusing on stress. Last Monday I posted a blog on taking a break, which included taking yourself off for a walk. Then also last week I posted a video on my social media platforms, so Instagram and Facebook, on the hip list, on developing or strengthening your hip for walking. And so I thought I'd tie it all together and think, okay, so have you been out for more walks? Hopefully that is a yes. Have you found them more stress relieving? Hopefully that is also a yes. Have you also been finding any kind of niggles in your hips? Hopefully not, but if you have, then I've got 3 top tips for walking. And try and do this not all at the same time. I'm borrowing these tips, by the way, from one of the practitioners that I have been following for a very long time, called Katie Bowman. And so she talks about these three things to focus on when you're walking. And if you can break your walk down into kind of 3 sections, then you can focus on these different things at different sections. So don't try and do everything all at once. But the first thing is start with your feet pointing in the right direction. So you want your feet to be in parallel. Now, there's different definitions of what parallel is. Generally, people think about aligning the insides of their feet in parallel. Katie Bowman has got a very particular take on this, which is to align the kind of joint of the little toe and the ankle joint, so kind of more like the outsides of the feet. And so it may feel like you're pointing your feet slightly in a bit, but actually if you look at my feet there, they just look like they're pointing forwards. So that's the first thing. Get your feet in parallel, and then when you're walking, try and keep them in parallel when you're walking forwards. So do that on your first, say you're going for a 3-mile walk, that's your first mile, is to focus on feet in parallel. So we don't want to have feet turned out, because you can see there's going to be a whole lot more hip movement, and that is going to put more strain on those hips. Okay, next thing, the second mile of your 3-mile walk, I want you to focus on really pressing off the back leg to propel you forwards. This is going to mean that you are going to take much bigger strides than you are used to. So we have a habit of kind of taking small steps and picking up the leg to take us forwards. But actually what we really want is to be pushing off the back leg and sending ourselves forwards. So I'm really using, I could do it on this leg as well, I'm using the muscle to propel me forwards. So that means you're going to stride. So really think about using your bum muscles to push yourself forwards rather than thinking about picking up the leg. And then my third tip, you can have a go at doing this kind of accumulatively. So you can start with feet pointing forwards, then taking big strides, and then once you've got that, try and keep your feet underneath your hips. So just find the kind of bony points on your hips. So for me, they are about here. Okay, so underneath my feet are going to be parallel underneath my hips. And try and keep them there. So we don't want that kind of model walk where we're, doing the very sexy cross-legged walk. And this goes for men too. It's not just a women's thing, but typically we see in kind of magazines and celebrity culture that kind of cross-leg walking for women. Now, actually, women, you have got wider hips than men. There is a biological need for this. So actually we should be striding with our legs slightly wider than most men. Men have got slightly narrower hips, so their feet are going to be slightly closer together. So we want to be working on strengthening the outside of the hips and keeping those legs underneath our hips rather than crossing over. There you go, there's my 3 tips for keeping you healthy on your wellness walks. I'll see you next week. I've got some more top tips coming next week.